I'm a fourth generation farmer down here at Deans Marsh on a property called Gurt West, which is in the northeastern foothills of the Otway Ranges. We run this property as a family farm. This is a 575 acre property and our main production focus is prime lambs. We also grow trees, we do agroforestry on the farm. By around about the 1890s, the property would have been cleared down to about 3% woody vegetation, which was typical of many parts of Australia. We had the issues of ecological decline and waterlogged areas and salting areas and remnant vegetation in decline. We decided that we should make a whole farm plan. So we did that in the early 90s. We divided the property into land class subdivisions. So we fenced along the land class subdivision boundaries, salt affected areas, waterlogged areas and fenced out remnant vegetation. And we double fenced along creek lines and then proceeded to plant plantations along all those fence lines and to develop wildlife corridors, basically forming a web of connected trees throughout the property to provide the wind protection, reduce the exposure to the stock and address the salinity, of course. We've established about 50,000 trees and shrubs over the last 30 years on the property and taken the property from 3% woody vegetation to 18% woody vegetation. And the interesting thing is it hasn't really reduced our agricultural production. The way that we've actually got the trees in is to have family tree planting days. And so we've been doing this for the last 25 years now. Our production system with prime lambs, which are giving off greenhouse gases and what we're absorbing, we think we're pretty much carbon neutral. Well, agroforestry to me is the integration of trees and shrubs into a farming landscape to address the environmental issues, to support and enhance the agricultural productivity, to manage some of those trees for tree products. My favourite paddock, the Gumsbank paddock, where we've fenced off the tributary of the Gurt Creek. There's also blue gums in this paddock where we've got 12 rows of blue gums, and those trees were planted in 1993. They were harvested in 2007, which gave us some cash income. The dam that my father built back in the 60s was an exposed site. It's absolutely ideal for Banksias. So we've got 28 species of Australia's 74 species of Banksias up there and a whole host of other plants up there as well. It's also become a commercial success too because my wife harvests up there every week. It's become a real sense of place to the family. It's like a little food forest in a way, I suppose, and it's got all these diverse plants and it's brought a lot of birds. In the early 90s we came together as a Landcare group and the Otway Landcare group. We formed a committee to develop a wildlife corridor and to fence out the Gurt Creek and develop a catchment plan for the Gurt Creek catchment area. Now that that creek has been about 99% fenced out and forming a wildlife corridor from its, the source of the Boona Hills right down to the Barwon River, better water quality coming through the system, I believe. And so that's been a really strong community collaboration. Landcare means to me the cooperation of people living in a catchment and where people are sharing ideas and actually doers, people doing things as well and building knowledge about good landscape functionality and having a good social time. Sustainable agriculture to me is about building better ecological functionality in our farming systems so that we can have a zero carbon footprint on the property and that we can have a lot of biodiversity in the system with a lot of different products coming out of that system and that it's sustainable into the future. The better well-being for livestock, native animals living on the property and people living in that landscape. Oh, see, we have a connected landscape, just standing and listening to the birds and watching the birds, how they've increased over that time. And there's just a general sense of well-being which continues to inspire me.